Welcome, Badger families. My name is Jenny Schonsberg, and I am part of the Parent and Family Program team here at UW-Madison. Our office serves as a central resource for all Badger parents and families, and we offer a variety of events and services, including this Badger Family Forum series. So whether you're joining us live or you're watching this event at a later time, we appreciate you being here and supporting your student and UW-Madison. I also want to thank our partners at the McBurney Disability Resource Center for providing captioning for today's event. You can find the link for live professional captioning in the video description below. So our conversation today will focus on those lingering questions you may have. First, your family is heading into the fall semester. We know there's still some things that you're unsure of or not confident on. So we are here to provide any support for you or your student. You can reach out to the Parent and Family Program directly at any time at parent@uwmad.wisc.edu or by calling 608-262-3977. Today, we are joined by campus partners who will help answer those questions that you still have about the start of the fall 2023 semester and share how we're going to welcome your Badgers to campus. So let's start by meeting our panelists for today's event. First, we have Brad Lanza. Brad serves as the coordinator of Wisconsin Welcome and works year-round with his team to help design the program for the incoming class of students to enjoy during their first few weeks on campus. He recently moved to the Midwest a little over a year ago and has loved experiencing all the outdoor activities on the lakes and the nearby trails. He, along with his team, are excited to welcome your students to the campus community during Wisconsin Welcome. Carla Weber-Wandel is the communications manager for the Office of Student Financial Aid. With her previous experience as a financial aid advisor, Carla has 16 total years of experience in financial aid at UW-Madison to answer all of those lingering questions you have. Amanda Thwing is the Director of Conference, Events, and Desk Services with University Housing. She has also worked with UW-Madison for 16 years and organizes all of the move-in and move-out processes for our students. Amanda is also helping today to represent the Residence Life folks from University Housing and can try to answer any of those programming questions that you may have. Thank you to everyone who submitted questions in advance of our session. If you have a question during our program today, feel free to submit that in the comment section on the Facebook feed. We have staff there on standby to answer your questions live as they come in, or they'll feed them to our panel for follow-up. To get that comment section warmed up, let us know where you're watching today. We love to see how far these forums go, so just drop in the chat where you are in the world and where you're joining us from. We know the Badger family extends far and wide, and like I said, it just brings us so much joy to be able to connect folks, even though you're not here in Madison with us. If we do not cover your question today, or you think of an additional question after we wrap up, please reach out to the Parent and Family Program via our dedicated phone line or our email address. Again, that's parent@uwmad.wisc.edu. And we're here for you, would love to help however we can. So let's get started. The number one thing I think on people's minds right now is that transition to college. It can be a challenging time. And so Brad, I'm going to go to you first. What is your top advice for students as they transition to life at UW-Madison this fall?
Of course. Thanks for having me, Jenny. I'm excited to be here, talk to you all a little bit about involvement, especially for your students coming to UW-Madison, transitioning to being a college student for the first time as well, too. So I think the biggest thing is encouraging your students to stay curious, get involved from the start. So whatever that looks like to them, whether that means joining a couple of student organizations on campus, doing some intramurals, finding an on-campus job, or even just connecting with students, hanging out at the terrace or at one of the unions. I think that'd probably be the biggest piece of advice that I have, is having them get involved from the start. I would also say Wisconsin Welcome is a fantastic opportunity to do so. I know we'll share a little bit more throughout our time kind of in this Badger Family Forum today, but Wisconsin Welcome is our Welcome Week programming. We say week, but it's more like a welcome month. There's about 4 to 5 weeks of just welcome activities going on across campus. I would say this year, over about 300 of them over the span of those 4 weeks. So tell your students to check those out. A lot of really awesome events ranging from 10 or 15 students all the way to 8,000 plus. So there's definitely something for your students to get involved with. To try something new, because there's tons of amazing opportunities here at UW. encourage them to get involved, try something new they haven't done in high school or at previous institutions if they're transferring over here. But have them get involved from the start and start to build that community they can rely on for support.
Thank you so much, Brad. That's a great answer to get us kicked off and warmed up. I would like to open this up to our other panelists as well. It's just a really great starter question and primer for our conversation today. Carla and Amanda, what would your advice be to new students as they transition here?
Yeah, I'll go first. I would say from the financial aid perspective, if you haven't already, now is really the time to budget. We in the financial aid office estimate your cost to attend every year, but what you're going to actually spend each year is really dependent on the student and the choices they're making in terms of where they're living, their meal plans. Sometimes the courses you're taking can make a difference in terms of your books and supply cost each semester. So look at our estimates, but make sure you're actually sitting down and doing a budget. How much are you going to need for the semester, for the year? And if you don't have enough, now's the time to also check in with our office to find out what other options that you have. So that's the top one. But the other one kind of with that too is our team is here to support you. The financial aid team is here not just for financial aid, but we have a whole host of services to help support students on campus. Things like some basic needs services, some success coaching, and student employment. We host the student job site as well. So make sure your students are involved with our office and taking advantage of everything we have.
Thank you so much. Amanda, what would your advice be?
Yeah, I think the main advice I have for students, you have a whole year to experience college, and it's really exciting. And we often see people come in and try to pack all of their experiences in the first 2 weeks. But take your time, get involved, meet new people, push your boundary, your comfort levels a little bit. But remember, you have an entire year to be successful here at UW.
That's really great. So have fun, take advantage of the opportunities, but pace yourself. I love that. So I'm going to go back to Brad. You already hinted at your previous answer that UW really likes to kick the year off in style. We have many, many opportunities for your students to meet people, build connections those first few weeks on campus. I'm wondering, can you share some of the big highlights that are coming up and maybe a little bit more just about what Wisconsin Welcome is and how students can find information about all those offerings?
Yeah, so Wisconsin Welcome, like I mentioned briefly before, it's kind of that whole month period. We have over 300 events on the schedule this year, really ranging in size. So if your students wanting that smaller, more intimate events, they can find those. But if they want those big, spirited welcomes as well, we have those too. So I can think of one of the biggest ones we have kind of kicking off the big opening to Wisconsin Welcome. It's called the W Project, or Bucky's Big Event as well. So that is all of the students are able to come to Camp Randall. There's a program where they get to learn some of the UW-Madison traditions. So University of Wisconsin Marching Band also comes in, teaches some of the kind of cheers and kind of dances that they do, and they'll see at some of the games and around campus as well. But it's to provide a lot of energy for students coming in. So it's a really awesome time to get together as a class for one of the first times during their journey here. I know it only happens a few times, whether that be at commencement and convocation as well too, but W Project kind of brings that spirited aspect, and then it kind of culminates with all of the students gathering on the field and forming the big W, taking a big class picture in the W. You might have seen one of those photos from last year and a couple of years before too, but it's just a really awesome time to bring the whole class together. And then as they're walking out of Camp Randall as a class, they get some free ice cream as well, to really kick off some of the big events happening throughout Wisconsin Welcome. Another really big one that's very famous at UW is convocation. So new student convocation is an opportunity to hear a lot of the academic life and what that's going to be like life as a student. So another great opportunity for students to gather as a class is kind of the one bookend to their UW-Madison career, where the other end is commencement as well too. So a way to kick it off, gather as a class, learn some traditions, and have a lot of fun as well too. So those are two of our largest events. Like I said, there's also so many other events. I'm sure Amanda is going to talk a little bit about this before, but I know University Housing has a series called Wisconsin Late Night, where there's events happening every Friday and Saturday night from 9 p.m. to about midnight, and some other opportunities, whether it be at the recreation centers for Nick at Night or craft nights out on the terrace. So Paintacular is going to be a paint night out on the terrace. There's something for everyone. There's a lot of cultural and identity center kind of welcome events too. If your students are wanting to connect in kind of a smaller space, feel supported and find students of similar identities, they can do that too. So there is an opportunity for everyone and to find something they're interested in. If you can't at one of those events going on, even RSOs are hosting events too. But I can think as well, Student Org Fair is going to be September 12th and 13th this year. Make sure your students go to that. I can say they'll find everything they're interested in there, whether that be the Cheese Lovers Club all the way to the Lactose Intolerant Club or something in between. They can find something they're interested in. I can guarantee that. So make sure the 12th and 13th of September are on their calendars for the Fall Student Org Fair. I think staying connected, we'll have a Wisconsin Welcome Guidebook app. So that'll go live in about 2 weeks to all of your students. They should get it to their WISC emails with information how to download that app. That'll have all 300 events on there. They can build their own schedules and read about those events before moving into campus and kind of build out what they're interested in doing. You can also check out our website, which I believe that will link right here as well to you, right there. So that'll bring you to all this information as well, so they can see that. If your students are coming through SOAR, they'll also get one of these amazing postcards with a nice little handwritten note from our new student leaders at SOAR. That also has the information there about Wisconsin Welcome too. You can follow us at UW News Student on Instagram to get live updates when that app's going live. And if you want to follow along on your student's journey throughout Wisconsin Welcome, we'll be posting updates and photos and things like that too.
Thanks, Brad. That's a lot. And the app makes it so easy. It really does. You can just kind of drag and drop all the things you're interested in. And that way you're not overlapping and you can do some balance like Amanda said, which that's actually great. Transition. Amanda, I'm going to actually come to you next. And do you want to tell us a little bit more about what housing has going on since we know the majority of first year students stay on campus in our residence halls?
Yeah, they do. And we're very excited to welcome everyone in just a few short weeks. We're going to start by at the beginning, once they move in, having house meetings. So our house fellows, also known as resident assistants in some of our other universities, but house fellows will gather everyone together for house meetings. Once they move in, that's where they get to meet other people on their floor, find out about some exciting events that are coming up. Those signs will be posted around the building, and the house fellows will also be reaching out to students about these dates. As Brad also said, Wisconsin Late Night is a very exciting program that University Housing has, and it will be hosting about 6 programs the first week. So between August 27th and September 2nd. Some of these programs are really fun things that students have loved to do in the past, such as DIY tote bag decorating, name that tune. There's a mentalist and magic show coming this year. And then the beloved trivia night here in Wisconsin is a really big thing. And so we'll be having a very large trivia night on August 30th. All of these activities start after 9 p.m. We do program towards that 9 p.m. to midnight timeframe for students. And then we have additional programs every weekend, every Friday and Saturday night on the different sides of campus. Things that students can expect coming up: canvas painting. There'll be a large welcome barbecue, adopt a rock, origami making, lots of fun things that have been very popular over the last couple of years.
It makes me want to live in the residence halls. That all sounds great. Not that I need any more plants, but definitely like adopting a rock and bamboo. That sounds awesome. My office could use some more swag for it. But, thank you so much, Amanda. That sounds great. The next kind of topic area that we actually got the most questions about, and it probably won't surprise many of you, it's finances, right? So, Carla, I'm going to spend a little bit of time with you next. Can we start with the basics here? Like, when is that tuition bill going to go out? Who gets them? How do they receive it? Let's start there.
Yep, definitely the topic that's on everybody's mind. As soon as August 1st hits, I feel like that's the number one question we even get in the financial aid office. So it's actually the Bursar's office who will send out emails with those e-bills or notification that e-bills are available. And the date they're scheduled to go out is later in the afternoon on Wednesday, August 16th. Students will automatically get that email letting them know that their e-bill is available to view. And anybody who that student has listed as an authorized payer, and that is something that a student has to set up. So if parent or anybody else wants access to see that e-bill or make a payment towards that e-bill, they do need to have that authorized payer access. You still have time to do it. So if your student hasn't made you an authorized payer, there are instructions on the Bursar's office website, bursar.wisc.edu. Oh, there you go. Look, you can even get right to the student account information there, and you can find out how to get that authorized payer added. From that website, you'll also find other information about how to make payments, tuition deadlines. Tuition's not due until a few weeks into the semester, so in September. So you have some time from when you get the bill until when it's due. The other thing to know too is that everybody gets a bill, even if you're getting financial aid and maybe it's enough financial aid to pay your tuition and fees and maybe even your housing as well, you're still going to get a bill sent to you. It's just that make sure you look for a little note about that anticipated financial aid that will apply to your to that balance that you have. So Bursar's office website, August 16th is when those bills will go out. And if you're not an authorized payer and you want to be, have your student get you signed up for that sooner than later.
Very helpful. So you mentioned there are students that do receive financial aid. How does that work? Does the financial aid apply to the student's account kind of automatically and pay the balance down for tuition and housing and things like that?
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. It's kind of nice that as long as students have all of their requirements done, grants and scholarships, there's not usually extra work, but if you're a first-time loan borrower, you're going to want to make sure you've signed your master promissory note and completed entrance counseling. But if you've got everything done, then it's usually about a week before classes start every semester. So it's the same timeline every term. About a week before is when that financial aid will automatically start dispersing to your student account. So it'll pay down any balance you have for tuition and fees, for on-campus housing if you're living in housing with us. That financial aid will apply automatically. Even when you get your bill, you'll see that anticipated aid listed so that if you're not getting your financial aid to pay everything, you'll know what a remaining balance is. And then that's what you just have to have paid by that tuition deadline in September. But yeah, otherwise it's a really automatic process. Students can start seeing that disbursement in their accounts on Tuesday, August 29th. Starts happening the night before, but because it's usually after business hours and into the evening, we tell students just hold tight, check the morning of Tuesday, August 29th, and that's probably when you'll see most of your funds having hit your account.
Wonderful. Thank you. So we know that for some families that financial aid may not cover the entire bill. So what can families do to help fill the gap after aid is applied? Is it too late to submit the FAFSA if they haven't already? And can they still apply for additional loans or scholarships?
Oh, I love these questions. They're so great because they are. These are the top questions we get this time of year. So I'm so glad we have this platform to answer them. But most importantly, it is not too late to submit the FAFSA for this upcoming academic year. So for 23-24, FAFSA is available, fafsa.gov, fafsa.gov. You can still fill it out, though we would say sooner than later, especially if you need the funds available by the time tuition is due in September. Now's the time to get it done. If you're not too worried about the tuition deadline, you can really fill out that FAFSA at any point during the academic year and we'll still process it. But if you need it by the time that tuition deadline comes, get it done sooner than later. So not too late, but do try to get it done. First time filers, it usually takes about 45 minutes to an hour, but that's just the first time. Every year it gets easier, and we're even expecting major changes to the FAFSA for next year, and it's supposed to get even easier. So fill it out. Best way to determine what financial aid you might be eligible for. Besides that, if you've already filled out the FAFSA and you know you have a gap, really the best I can recommend is take the time to meet with one of our financial aid team members. We have appointments available. We're really pretty busy in August, but we do have time available to talk exactly about this. Every family situation is different, so it's hard to give any kind of just blanket advice on where to look for ways to fill that gap. But take the time to meet with our team so we can discuss with you your individualized options of what you might still have available to you. Otherwise, there's still scholarships you can look for. If you follow us on social media, us being the financial aid office, we're on Instagram. We do a hashtag Free Money Friday. Every Friday, we're posting scholarships that have upcoming deadlines. So there are still scholarships your students can be applying for. There are loans. Loans are an option that a lot of families rely on, and we have resources like the Federal Plus loan, and there are private loans that you can borrow. We don't have any recommended lenders necessarily, but we do have a really cool tool on our website that lets you compare some more of the commonly seen private loans to let you figure out which of those is going to be the best for you or for your student. I think that's it. Did I cover it all?
That was so great, so comprehensive. Thank you for going through all of that. We do have one clarifying question from Facebook regarding scholarships. And so they were asking, scholarships that their students received from high school, are they typically used for the second semester, or how does that work?
Oh, that's a hard one because it really depends on the scholarship and who's giving the scholarship. It's the scholarship administrator who decides kind of the terms and conditions of when the scholarship will get dispersed, when the student gets that money. So if your student is getting a scholarship from your high school, check with the high school to find out exactly when you can expect to see that money. Is it something that will disperse at the front end of the semester? And we do see quite a few scholarships that come in early, even before tuition is due. But there are also scholarships that they'll say, we want you to wait until the end of the semester. Maybe you have to show your grades, and then they'll issue you a check at the end of the term. But that's really scholarship specific. And the best way to find out the information is to go back to that scholarship administrator.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm sure all of that wonderful information is going to help our families a lot, help them feel better, more confident about their financial situation and how they're going to manage that going into this new semester. One more question before we move on. For some students, this may be their first taste or definitely an increase in their financial freedom and independence. So I'm wondering, what conversations do you recommend? I know you mentioned budgeting earlier, but what conversations do you recommend families have with their students about money and finances before the semester starts?
Oh, yes. This is a hard topic for families. It's hard to talk about money. But I would say outside of budgeting, it's really important as a family, you talk about expectations and set some expectations for parents, for student, who's responsible for paying what are maybe some spending limits that you need to set for yourself or for your student for each month or in different categories. But have those hard conversations now so that it's easier when situations arise as the school year kind of comes around. I'd also say if you haven't done so yet, make sure the student has their own bank account, just a basic checking and savings account. But it's a really great way to start setting up some good money spending, money saving habits, having their own account to have some control over it. You can always be, a secondary on the account so you can pop money in there when they need it. But students really should have their own checking and savings account. You can go into your hometown. I just always ask that you make sure that whatever bank you use, they at least have access to ATMs or online banking when they're here in town. But bank accounts and having that is really important. We also have some really great tools here once they get on campus or even before. We use a great online program called Grad Ready that students can take advantage of online that has tutorials, videos, budgeting tools, all things about financial wellness and how to be financially healthy while they're in school. And then once they graduate and go out into the workforce. We do workshops through our office. We have something called the Money Hour that we host usually about once a month for students to talk about different money topics. Huge shout out. There's a great 1-credit course that's offered for students. There's a version for freshmen and sophomores, and then a separate version for juniors and seniors called Badger Sense. It's a financial life skills course, gets rave reviews every semester. So if your student's just looking for a 1-credit, something simple that can really help support their financial wellness, highly recommend the Badger Sense financial life skills course. And I think that's really the most important part, is just encouraging that financial wellness and having those honest conversations sooner than later.
Those are such great resources. I really wish that those were available when I was an undergrad.
Right?
Sure.
Yeah, same.
So definitely let's make sure we get the links for those that we can send out to the families, like the families as a recap to this. But we had one more financial question come through. So I'm sorry, I said we were going to move on and give you a break, but we have a family wondering, do the tuition bills also contain information about applying for and obtaining student loans, or is that something they figure out on their own?
The tuition bill the e-bill is what we call it, because it sometimes have other charges besides just tuition, but that really is just going to be information about the bill, the charges, how to pay those charges. It will have some information about financial aid on it in terms of if you've already applied for it, it'll be listed there. But it doesn't necessarily have information about how to get more or how to receive financial aid in general. Bursar's office is more we charge, we take the money. Our office is more the financial aid part of it. So if you do need support finding financial aid or finding a private loan, that's where you're going to want to reach out to our team, schedule an appointment, call or email our office. We're here to help you through that process.
Wonderful. Okay, now I really am going to give you a break. So thank you, panelists, for all your wonderful input so far. I just want to acknowledge that we're about halfway through our time. We're 26 minutes into our event. So for those of you that maybe joined us a little late, welcome. We're so glad you're here. If you missed the first part of the event or you want to go back and rewatch something later, we just dropped a lot of knowledge bombs on you. This event is recorded and it will be available at the same link, whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook. You can also find it on our Parent and Family Program website. You can come back to this content at any time and go back to the beginning and watch again. Maybe you even want to share it with your student or another family member that wasn't able to join live. I also want to remind everyone that's watching that we do provide closed captioning courtesy of our wonderful colleagues at the Maberny Disability Resource Center. The links for captioning can be found in the description below the video. If you are tuning in on Facebook, please feel free to leave those comments and questions in our chat. You've noticed we've integrated a few already. We do have staff there on standby who can respond or pass those questions on. We welcome your feedback, even just a quick hello in those comments. I think I saw some folks weighing in from Sun Prairie, which is close by, but also Minnesota, Massachusetts, all over. We love just getting even those quick hellos and love to see how far and wide our audience extends. We definitely want to acknowledge that the chat is lively today, which is great. We love seeing how engaged and how many that you're willing to ask us questions and that we can get these things answered for you. We'll answer as many of them as we can, but know that we will answer your questions throughout the day today if we can't get to it live in the session. And as always, you can email, call the Parent and Family Program, and we'll get to you. The email is parent@uwmad.wisc.edu, phone number 608-262-3977, and our website is on there as well. Lots of great information there. So let's pivot now. We're going to go to another popular topic that folks have a lot of questions about heading into a new semester, and that's housing. So Amanda, it's your turn to be our featured panelist. We know move-in is such an exciting time, but also lots of questions. Can you maybe start with the basics? When is move-in, and do you have tips for families to make that move-in process easier or as smooth as possible?
Yeah, it is a very exciting time. It's one of my favorite times of the year. So much great energy, meeting new people, conversations about what to expect, just a lot of positive things happening at that time. So our move-in is 3 days this year for our main move-in days. I want to recognize that there may be some people who have early move-ins if they're associated with certain groups or programs on campus, and that information you will get from those particular programs. But our main move-in days are August 30th, August 31st, and September 1st. The way we have been doing move-in for the last couple of years is that all students are assigned a move-in date and time. Those dates, we try to have houses or floors move in together on the same date so that they can have meetings together in the afternoon or the evening and get to know each other. However, we also know that life happens and plans aren't always what we think that they are. And so if you do need to change those dates, you can go on to the housing portal and change your move-in date and time up until August 27th. August 27th, we close down all move changes so that we can make sure that we're best prepared for your arrival. When you are in that housing portal, you will see, your student will see their housing parking pass to be printed out. That is very important. You need to print out your parking pass and bring it with you to move in. On that parking pass, it's going to say your date, your time, your name, your hall, and it will also have a spot for you to put your cell phone number in. You need to have that parking pass when you come in. You will put it on your dashboard. You'll have 45 minutes to move all of your stuff into your room. I know that doesn't sound like a lot of time, but we've been doing this for a long time. And so I can tell you that it is plenty of time. So we ask that you get there when your move-in time starts, not before, because we do have people moving in every hour. Get there, you'll check in, which is a very quick, like 2-minute process. And then we do have volunteers that we call Badger Buddies. We will have a lot of Badger Buddies around on those main move-in days to help people move. So you may be greeted at your car by a Badger Buddy with a big red cart. They are there to help move all of your stuff into the cart and take as many trips up and down as it takes to get your stuff into your room. Once you are in your room, we ask that somebody move your car to long-term parking, and we will have staff on site to tell you where to go for that. 45 minutes is all you get for parking near the building, and then the next round of students are going to come in. So yeah, I think as long as you're sticking to your dates and your times, you pack really well and accept the help of all of the people who are going to be standing around looking to help you move your stuff into your room, that would be fantastic. One last clarifying question. You do have to print out your parking pass. You can't just have it on your car. The reason, or on your phone, sorry. The reason why is because it has to stay in your car on the dashboard. And the reason we want you to put your cell phone number in there is that if we do need you to move your car, if something happens, we need to see that you're supposed to be there, and that we can contact you by knowing which room you're in or what your cell phone number is. So it does need to be printed and put in your car.
Makes sense. Okay, and so I know that Badger Buddies do more, even beyond just helping out at move-in. Brad, do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, so I know new this year, we're trying to kind of expand Badger Buddies a little bit in terms of the amazing folks that work as Badger Buddies helping with move-in. We're also expanding that too. So they're those same smiling faces that greet you at your cars and help you move in. They'll be able to support your students throughout Wisconsin Welcome as well. So staffing some of the bigger events going on across campus, as well as helping bring your students from their residence halls to some of those larger events too. So kind of helping build that community, seeing those same upperclassmen that have been here before, being able to kind of build some connections right away with them, as well as just get to build some community that way as well too.
Yeah, great. And Carla, you were a Badger Buddy, so you can confirm.
Yeah, well, and what's wild is our division, actually Division of Enrollment Management, our team every year actually signs up to be Badger Buddies to help during move-in. So I don't know what building we're in, but on the Wednesday move-in date, you might see quite a few people from our division. And I just have to confirm, it is so easy. Like, I think the comment we hear most from parents and families is, wow, that was a lot easier than we expected. Like, they truly have this down to an art form, which is one of the reasons I love volunteering, is because it's even easy for the volunteers to participate. So truly, it's no hesitation for how simple they make this on y'all.
That's very reassuring to hear, I'm sure. So there are a couple quick follow-up questions for our housing move-in process. Do roommates have the same move-in time and date?
Yeah, so we did request that roommates move in on the same date. Not always the same time, but on the same date. Now, people can change their dates and times. So whether or not that's what ends up happening, I'm not sure. But we do recommend that floors move in on the same dates together.
Okay. After a family moves to that long-term parking, how long can they stay in the long-term parking?
Long-term parking, we really are looking for you to move your car sometime that day. You need to be moved before nighttime. We have about 2,500 students moving in each day. And so the best thing for you to do is to unload, go park, set up your students' room, and then take a break, go get some food in one of our dining units, go to Target or whatever store you want to go to. But you will be able to stay there for a little bit.
One. Okay, last one. I know we get this all the time in the parent and family program, lofts.
Yeah.
Everybody loves to talk about lofts. So the question was, can beds be lofted in advance? Like, can that be something they request? Or is that something the families and the students do when they get there? I know something we get, this wasn't in the Facebook chat, but we get the question of like equipment and like, where does it come from? Do you bring your own mallet? Tell us about lofting.
Yes, all the things with lofting. We did try doing pre-lofting for a little while, and it wasn't advantageous. People got here and realized they didn't want it, or they didn't request it and they wanted it. And so we are not doing lofting requests prior to move-in. And actually, we are not helping with move-in or with lofting until after move-in. Our staff is just too busy parking cars and welcoming all of our students. And so if you get there and are unable to loft your bed with your own family unit or friends in the hallway, then you can put in a MARS request, our work order system, and somebody will come the following week to come and loft your bed. Lofting your bed is fairly easy. We do have videos on how to do it. It really takes only a mallet. We will have some mallets available at all of our front desks. But if you were looking to become really prepared, you could bring a mallet and maybe an Allen wrench. Those seem to be the two things that everybody requests on move-in days. But really, it only takes about 2 to 3 folks who are able to lift furniture to get those beds lofted or bunked.
Thank you. And okay, this happens. I should stop saying last question because I love how active everybody is on Facebook and asking us questions. We love this engagement. So, one more, I'm not even going to say it because I'll jinx it. Another question about housing for you, Amanda. Yeah. One of the students, their roommates are scheduled to move in earlier than the August 30th date. Are they able to change the student's date to match? So the student that moves in later, can they come in and do the early move-in with their roommate?
So if their roommate is moving in prior to the 30th, then not unless they are part of a pre-approved group. We really can only have people who are pre-approved on campus to be doing something particular to come in early. So most of our students will be moving in on the 30th through the 1st, unless it's a pre-approved group.
Okay, thank you. And Brad, it sounds like you may have some information about additional move-in FAQs.
Yeah, so I know the Wisconsin Welcome app that I mentioned earlier is going live to students in just about a couple of weeks from now, 2.5 weeks. A lot of those FAQs about move-in that Amanda just told you about, and some other great resources for move-in directly from Amanda's housing team. They have access to edit that and put that information in there too. So you'll be able to find a housing resource guide on there too.
Awesome. So there's this list of 300 events. There's this amazing information about move-in. The app sounds like a must download for students. Perfect. So we talked about lofting and how those pieces fit together and people getting in there and realizing they want to change things. So I think one of the things that we get a lot is regarding residence hall room specific. So measurements and details and amenities of the various buildings. Is that information available for students and families now, Amanda?
Yes, it is. We also get those questions a lot. It's amazing how many people need to know the exact measurement of windows and how many windows and drawers. And all of that is on our housing website. Our team has done a fantastic job of collecting all of the information with photos, measurements, like a virtual tour. All of that is there. So if you go to our housing website under undergraduates, it's on the tab called residence halls. If you scroll down the page, you'll see all of our residence halls listed out, and you'll see the amenities, you'll see measurements, pictures of people who have lived in those rooms, the rooms, not the people, and you'll get to see a little virtual tour too. So all you need to see is there.
Great, thank you. I know I've explored those, and it's shocking the amount of detail that you all have built up for those pages for the rooms, but I guess it's because people ask, and so then it might as well be out there and sharing it. So even though this year hasn't started yet, we do have families already asking about housing for next year, as in the 2024 or 2025 school year. One family wrote in when we were soliciting questions and shared, I've heard students often find apartments for sophomore year starting in October of freshman year. This is our first time as a Badger family. How does our student navigate this process without knowing a lot of people? So I want to start with a small teaser and share that we will be covering off-campus housing in depth in our September Badger Family Forum. But Amanda, I wondered, is there anything you'd like to share now for families to start thinking about regarding future housing and making some of those plans?
Yeah. I would say the number one thing is just to take a deep breath. Let's get through move-in. And it really takes the first couple of months to see how you feel about living in our residence halls. It's a great community, very supportive. We have a lot of resources for our students. And our returning students are a very important part of what makes University Housing's program successful. So I think take a deep breath. Know that our office, the University Housing Office, and the Office of Campus Area Housing, they have a lot of resources to be able to assist students in finding off-campus housing or to talk about what options are available on campus for the following year. So probably sometime in the fall, maybe around that October timeframe, you'll start to see information coming out from University Housing and campus about the following year. And that's when you can start talking about, do I want to even put in an interest for housing just so that I have that as a backup? Knowing that we do have a good sized returning population that works with us, lives with us, studies with us, all of that.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much. Brad, I wonder, you also kind of have some expertise in this area and have been working in this space and with this topic. Is there anything you'd like to add?
Yeah, so I would say if any of y'all have come to SOAR, you've seen our presentation on off-campus housing and supporting your students living off campus. But for some of y'all looking to look a little ahead a little bit for your students for the following years, I know one thing that one of my co-presenters mentions, he's within campus area housing, that if your student's looking for some of those like student-based amenities, some of those complexes, say with study rooms or fitness centers or like very student-based amenities, those might fill up later September into October timeframe. But as Amanda said, take a deep breath, tell them not to rush into things. There is still housing available now for this coming school year as well. So even if they're not looking for those student-based amenities, if they want to be maybe a little bit longer walk, like 10 minutes from campus, those are still opportunities to find like later on into the fall, towards like November, December timeframe. Even if it's just a short bus ride, which they can get a free bus pass within their tuition already too, is another great option. So there are plenty of options for living. Probably the biggest tip to share is don't tell your students not to rush in to find housing, especially because the friends that they're making during the first couple of weeks of September might not be their October, November friends. So don't rush into signing a lease because those are legally binding contracts until your student feels comfortable and knows who they're interested in living with and have checked out those properties and done their kind of due diligence on that too.
And that's so common. So if that is the situation your student is in, they don't feel like they've quite found, like they've made friends, they've made connections, but they haven't found someone they're willing to live with next year, that's okay if they don't figure that out in the first week of classes. So thank you. I'm going to move us on to our final kind of topic area. And we've touched on it a little bit, but finding community and student involvement, it's so important. We know how those things impact a student's success. So we're going to go a little deeper. And Brad, I'm going to stick with you for the moment. I know you talked about some of those high profile Wisconsin welcome events already, but are there any events in particular that can help connect students to the campus and their interests?
Yeah, and I know, kind of flipping it back 1 second to the housing, I forgot to mention, there is going to be a student housing fair. So there's going to be some campus partners, as well as kind of local complexes or local folks renting out homes for the following year. I believe that's October 2nd. That's going to be happening in Union South. So if your students are interested in finding housing or kind of meeting some of the options and seeing some of the options, tell them to check that out. That's another great option to look and see what's available for the following year. And then bringing it back to kind of transitioning to kind of connecting students to campus a little bit more. So some of the smaller events too. So if your students interested in like Badger Spirit Bingo, that's another great option. You might not think college students like bingo, but I can tell you it's a big hit with college students. So that's another great option. I mentioned student org fair. So over 1,000 different student organizations. It's a 2-day long period, just because we want to make sure students have enough time. So 3 hours, September 12th and 13th. So they have plenty of time to make find whatever organization they're interested in joining. That's going to be the Cole Center, our basketball arena, just filled with 1,000 different student organizations. Some other really great ones as well. So if your students are interested in fraternity and sorority life, there's an opportunity to find different chapters or different organizations they're interested in joining. So they also have a lot of big recruitment events happening that are going to be part of Wisconsin Welcome as well. And some other really awesome opportunities for them to get connected. Like I mentioned, if there want some smaller ones, there are some RSOs, so registered student organizations that are sponsoring different events as well too. So there is something for everyone to kind of start building that community. If they're looking for finding that on-campus job, someone I think mentioned a little earlier in this call, but there's an on-campus job portal, so they're able to find opportunities to make a little bit of cash on campus here. A lot of students who work in dining halls or wherever they may be build some really awesome community and friendships with some of the students that they work with as well too. If they're interested in moving around a little bit, I know Recwell does an awesome opportunity for working out in the Baki Center, Nicholas Recreation Center, or even just some intramurals, including esports. So if your students are interested in video games and a gamer, they can join some intramural leagues based on that. I mentioned the cultural centers already too, so students can find that smaller community to feel supported, celebrated, join some different events going on. Those are some really fun opportunities. And then kind of service opportunities too. If your student wants to give back to the community a little more, they can find short-term kind of one-off opportunities to engage in community service, or even longer kind of semester-long commitments as well too. So whatever they're interested in, there's opportunities to get involved.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you so much. And so I know that, like I said, this is so important that our students feel that sense of belonging. So I'd love to hear, Amanda and Carla, what your perspective is as well. What advice do you have for students in addition to attending events and joining these things? What advice do you have for students to help them find community? Amanda, can I start with you?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're living in the residence halls, there's no better place to find community. So our residence life staff is really busy right now, planning all of the fun programs that your students can attend. But then also grabbing your floor mates and going to dinner, going to a movie together on campus, going to a rock climbing event on campus, right? Like there's a lot that you can do by just connecting with the people on your floor. You're going to be together all year. And so getting to really know them is important. I would say I would echo what Brad said as well, is that as an employer of about 1,800 students, University Housing is always looking for students to apply to work with us, whether or not you're working in the dining hall or a desk or being a house fellow, working in our marketing department. There's a lot of places that you can work in University Housing, and it's a great place to meet people. In fact, a lot of students will say that they are applying for jobs just to meet people, and then they end up working with us and enjoying it and getting some good experiences. So get out there, get to know your community, apply for some jobs. We're here for you.
Thank you. Carla, what do you have for us?
I love that both of them have mentioned student employment and getting student jobs already, because that was going to be 100% my first plug. Like I mentioned earlier, it's our office that maintains the Student Job Center website, and jobs are posted every day. So if your student's looking today and they don't see something that interests them, look again tomorrow, look again next week. Jobs will be posted a lot actually between now and even into the start of the semester. September and October are our two busiest hiring months throughout the year. So keep looking. There, like everybody said, there are opportunities all over campus. We hire in the financial aid office, labs, the union, the athletic teams, the Recwell. There are student jobs all over the place. So you can really find something that fits your interests, and then, meet some incredible people along the way through that path. Outside of that, in the financial aid office, students in our financial aid programs actually get to benefit from some really great opportunities to network and build community as well. So if you're part of our Bucky's Pell Pathway or our Banner program, we have events actually during that Wisconsin Welcome Week for students in those programs specifically to gather and meet fellow scholars. And then even after Wisconsin Welcome, we do monthly workshops once a month. I think it's the first Thursday of every month, different topic every month, but they're all topics to help students tackle, especially that first year of being on campus. So I know off-campus housing was being talked about. Our first workshop in October is about finding housing. So we're meeting student needs and covering those important topics throughout the year. So encourage your students to attend those and any opportunities they see. There's a great Today at UW calendar that's posting events all across campus for students to get involved and find neat ways to see UW through a different light.
Thank you. Yes. So we also know that that families are so important to their student support as well. So I'm going to selfishly plug how families can find community. And some of you are already there. A great spot is that Facebook group and our Facebook page. There, we, the Parent and Family Program, we are active in that space, but I think the golden ticket is that that's a peer-to-peer space. So you have more senior Badger families offering advice, offering their take, offering solidarity, community. I've seen really beautiful interactions in that space when if a Badger has something where their ride from the airport didn't work out, a family member will post in this group and people clamoring to help that student get to where they need to be. Students are sick and their families halfway across the country. You've got local Badger moms volunteering to bring soup. It's really a beautiful place. So I encourage you to engage there and also reach out to us. We're here. There's myself and then my colleagues Stephanie and Monica and our lovely intern team. We're here to help answer any questions that you may have. The last thing that comes to mind for parents being able to feel connected and find community with us is Family Weekend. Of course, it's our big signature event every year. This year it'll happen October 20th, 21st, and 22nd. And that event will feature the chancellor comes in, does a welcome and greets all of you and thanks you for being part of the Badger family. We're going to do a game watch party. And a lot of amazing free and low cost events. There are also opportunities to see some of our athletics teams. In the past, we've been able to do volleyball, wrestling, soccer. So I'm not sure what exactly we have planned this year. Keep checking that Family Weekend website for updates. But it's going to be a great weekend for families to connect to campus and check in on their student after they've been with us a few weeks. Okay, so now we've reached the end of our kind of planned questions. We're going to go, because we know that Facebook chat has been so lively, we're going to do some lightning rounds of questions that are coming in over there. So our new first question, their student has a move-in time, but they don't have a housing assignment yet. What should they do? Amanda, we're back to you.
Yeah. Still plan to move in on that move-in time. On that move-in date, that is your date and time. Once you get an assignment, that move-in date and time will just be for that building. So you will have a building, or you will have an assignment before you move in, I promise.
Great. Thank you. And so like I said, we're going to just do this live lightning round here. But remember, for those watching, you can always email us, parent@uwmad.wisc.edu, if we don't get to your question today. So let's see, what's our next one? Oh, we're back to Amanda again. Will there be a place to put empty boxes for items that have been unpacked from the original box? For example, a mattress topper or something like that for their move-in date.
Yeah, that's a great question. University Housing is actually really proud of all of our sustainability efforts. And so we will have huge recycling areas that are staffed for you to put your boxes, break them down, put them in. We do the same thing at Move Out. So at Move Out, we recycle furniture, clothes, food, all the recyclable materials, but you will see huge dumpsters of all of that for move-in.
Okay, I'm going to give you a break. We have a question for Carla this time. So, Carla, can you tell us a little bit more about how work study works?
Oh yeah, definitely. So federal
Work
works.
study is for those. Yeah.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yep. Well, background and then what? Yeah, we got it. So federal work study is a type of financial aid. Sorry, my dog made it an hour and now she's getting whiny if you hear her in the background. So it's a type of financial aid. It's a federal program that's not really a grant or a loan, but it's a part-time part-time employment program in which the employer and the government share the payroll costs in employing the student. So different than grants and loans and scholarships, the money that students are getting in work study is not going to apply directly towards tuition or any other bill expenses that they have. Rather, it's just dispersed to them in a paycheck like any other job they might have on campus every 2 weeks. And they're earning those federal work study dollars through that paycheck. So things to know, any student hourly position on campus is work study eligible. Some campus jobs might require it, but even if it's not listed in the listing as a federal work study job, as long as it's a student hourly position, you can automatically earn your work study through it. We also have a host of great off-campus partners. So if students are looking to work in the community in using their federal work study, we also have some great opportunities there as well. So check out the Student Job Center. There's also information on our website if you have more questions about federal work study and how it's used and just basic answers. That's all on the financial aid website too.
I did not know that about work study, that it applies to all jobs and even those community opportunities. That's a change. That's a change recently.
It's been that way. So off-campus partners, we've had more limited partners. That definitely has expanded in the last few years. But the on-campus rule has been the case at least as long as I've been here. So it's really easy for students to earn their work study.
I love that. Okay, one more question for you, Carla. Is there a minimum number of hours per week that a student needs to work for campus jobs?
Yeah, great question. It's really going to depend on the position. And so it's important when students are looking through that Student Job Center to really read through the details of the job to find out what the requirements are. For example, in our office, our students typically work anywhere from 10 to 20 hours a week. We have a few that might work less than 10 hours, but that's pretty rare. But there might be other positions on campus where they only need you 2 to 5 hours a week, or it's more kind of work comes up as needed. So there are a lot of different opportunities to fit with a student's schedule. That's why we encourage students to work on campus, especially or with our campus partners, because they understand first and foremost that our students are students first, right? And that's their priority. And so they're much more willing to work around schedules and make sure students are prioritizing their academics first.
I know that's how I got started. I was a student employee and then I got bit by the higher ed bug and now here I am. So many years later, same.
Yep. 100%.
I feel like that's a really common path that people take, is their student employment opens up so many doors that they didn't even know were possible. And so we're running out of time. We have a minute left, so I'm going to move on to our closing. As we end our time together, I'd love our panelists. Do you have any closing thoughts? Is there anything that you really were hoping to share that we might have missed or didn't get a chance to cover?
Yeah, I can start out. I want to encourage you all to tell your students that it's going to be a really exciting transition moving to UW-Madison, making sure there's a lot of things happening as well, a lot of events going on, a lot of meeting new people. Tell them to have fun, push themselves out of their comfort zones to try a different activity they haven't tried before, go to an event they've never gone to, meet some other people, get out of their residence hall rooms, get out of their apartments if they're living off campus. But meet some people, build some community. Also encourage them to practice their self-care, as we mentioned before. Do what they need to do. So they need some time to just recharge, get some alone time. Make sure they do that and take care of themselves, both physically and emotionally too.
Thank you. I think, Amanda, you said you had something too?
Yeah, I'll go next. I would say take ownership in your own experience here on campus. Students should try to do things on their own. Go talk to that faculty member, go talk to that staff member, go talk to whomever you need to talk to, but take ownership of your experience here on campus. And try it out. But as you're trying it out, know that there are a lot of people on this campus that are here to support and encourage you along the way. And so if you're ever feeling lost or unsure, just reach out. There are staff members everywhere in the residence halls, on campus, the university health offices, your staff members, everyone is here to help support you.
That's so true. So true. Carla, I feel like we really grilled you for a while there, but do you have anything else to add?
I was ready for it.
Okay.
Love this. Ask me all the questions.
Yes.
No, kind of piggybacking on what Amanda said is taking advantage of the resources that campus offers. And I know it's so hard to learn how to ask for help, but we can only do as much as we know in our support services, how we can help you if you're not coming to us and letting us know what your needs are. So take advantage of those resources, fight through the difficulty of asking for help, and ask for help when you need it. You will find this to be such a supportive community that even if we don't have the answer for you or can't do what you need in that moment, there's probably somewhere else we can direct you, or somewhere else that can offer you some support or help in the meantime. So look for those resources and take advantage of them.
Thank you so much for saying that. We definitely know that about our students, that they're all so talented. They're all so smart. And this may be their first time that they're experiencing kind of academic struggle. And it's hard for them to realize that it's okay to ask for help and ask questions and get that support that they need. So thank you so much for bringing that up. You panelists, you've been so wonderful. Thank you for your time and your insights today. As a reminder to everyone watching, this session is recorded. You can watch it again anytime at the same link. And I just wanted to share a couple things that are coming up for families. First, as I mentioned earlier, Family Weekend is coming up in October and registration is open now. So feel free to go to the website, register there. We'll add details kind of throughout the summer as plans come together. But if you want to get registered and sign up now, you're more than welcome to do that. The second thing, save the date for our next Badger Family Forum. It will be sort of a part 2 to this one and really build on the information that we talked about today. We'll be talking about how to proactively troubleshoot kind of common concerns that we know come up throughout the fall, and things that your students are going to start thinking about now that they've acclimated a little bit. So that's Friday, September 8th from noon to 1. We try to do these the first Friday of every month from noon to 1 Central. With Labor Day, we bumped back September, but for general planning, you can kind of think about that first Friday of the month. Just want to reiterate one final time, we are here to provide any support or advice you or your student may need. If we didn't get to your question today, or you think of a follow-up question after digesting all of the wonderful truth bombs we dropped on you, or even if you have a totally unrelated issue, you can always reach out to the Parent and Family Program. We're at parent@uwmad.wisc.edu, or you can call us at 608-262-3977. We are so happy to help. Thank you so much for joining us, and we hope all of you take good care. On Wisconsin.